Husband Material Podcast. No cheating. Obviously, this would be an issue with most females, right? Most women. They definitely don't want to be in a relationship where, typically they don't want to be in a relationship where the guy's cheating. We know as guys that guys cheating and female cheating are not the same. They happen for different reasons, and not saying that cheating is okay. In general, just saying that when a guy cheats, it's not really cheating, but for a woman, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's not the same. For them, they're going to treat it as such because I like to think that anything that looks the same is the same. So, that kind of concept. So when they cheat, they're definitely cheating. But when guys cheat, it's not cheating, but since it's similar because of, sex being involved, to them it's the same, but it's not the same. Because the reason guys have sex is not the same reason women have sex. So for us, sex is different than it is for them. So they equate it to being the same thing because they think we feel the same as they do when it comes to sex, but we do not. The only time we feel something is during the sex itself because the sex makes us feel good, but that's about it. But there is no feeling attached, no emotion attached to sex prior to having it. There is some feelings after sex, right? The post-nut clarity. There is some feelings after sex, but there is no feelings before sex. Females have feelings before sex, which is why they have sex in the first place. And sometimes they don't have much feelings after it. And sometimes they do. But anyway, besides the factor of men and women are different, even though when a guy cheats, right, quote, air quotations, they're not really cheating, but you definitely shouldn't be doing it without permission. Because like I said, it's, the likelihood of your wife wanting to be with another guy physically, it's not, it's not going to be as common as if you want to be physical with another woman, right? Because in order for her to be physical with another guy, even though she's with you, she has to love the other guy, right? Because love is the main motivation for her to have sex. So if she loves you, it'll be hard for her to love someone else at the same time. It's not hard for guys to do because we're literally built to be with multiple women, mainly because we don't love before we have sex. We don't have sex because of love. We love to have sex. We love sex itself, but we don't have to love to have sex. We can have sex with somebody we don't like, a woman we hate. We can utterly hate her, but still fuck her. So, no cheating. Now, I'm not saying you can't have sex with other women while you're with your woman, obviously, right? It's just that don't do it without her permission, is what I'm saying. You need to have her permission, right? Most females / women would allow you to have women on the side or women as part of your relationship, like a harem and whatnot. They're typically willing to share it if you're open about it. That's the main thing, is that if you're open about it, if you're worthy, right? She feels like the best thing to do would be to be in a, open type of relationship like this, then that'll be the case. But the main thing is you gotta have her permission, right? Because remember, you have to understand, right? Guys are responsible for relationships, right? We're the leaders in a relationship, and we're the ones who decide the relationships happen in the first place, right? But when it comes to sex, even though we're in charge of the relationship, we determine if the relationship is going to be boyfriend, girlfriend, husband and wife, monogamous, polygamous, whatever, open, relationship, swinger. There's different types of arrangements, right? If you're gonna have 12 wives, like, you as the man is in charge of those aspects of the relationship, right? How many women you're gonna be with, right? But when it comes to sex, however, it's up to the women themselves. So if you have 5 women, like myself, they're the ones that decide if they're all okay with sharing you, if sexually, if they're all, how they want to, take turns and that kind of stuff, or all at the same time, whatever, right? They're the ones who have to make the decisions when it comes to sex, because they're the ones who have to agree to it, right? They're the ones who have to provide you access to their bodies for sex. So of course they're the ones in charge of sex. So that's what their responsibility is: sex. Your responsibility is the relationship, right? Which is why you need their permission. This whole idea of like, I have urges and blah blah blah, and then you take it into your own hands, right? When you decide you're going to do it just because you want to. And I get it. 9 out of 10 times, the reason you cheated, right, or you had sex with another woman, was because of opportunity. Because another woman, and a female, I should say, gave you the option, right? Gave you an offer. She gave you access to her body. So since you were given access, or you were given permission, you took it. The thing is, you didn't have permission from your main chick, right? If you were single, that's the important thing, right? If you're single, then every individual woman you interact with, they're the ones who ultimately decide if you're gonna have sex, right? But if you have a girlfriend or a wife, when it comes to you having sex, one with her or with any other woman, it's her decision. It's up to her. You got to get her permission. If you feel like you don't need her permission to have sex with other women, then you need to not be with her, because she actually has a say in if you have sex with other women or not, or sex with her. And that's one of the things that I noticed that's an issue out there, especially in the red pill community. I see a lot of guys, talking about, when you're at a certain status, when you have a lot of money, blah 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 blah, you're gonna want multiple chicks and blah 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 and all this nonsense. Sometimes they do mention that you should obviously ask for permission, but a lot of times they just make it where it's like it's just normal. Ladies, you have to understand that he's going to want to have multiple women, and you have to accept it. As opposed to being like, no, you have to make the decision if you're going to be in a relationship with a guy who wants multiple women, and you be part of the process of him getting the women and who he can and can't and all that stuff. Like, that usually doesn't get mentioned. It's the whole idea of like, he's going to want multiple women, and you have to either accept it or not be with him, as opposed to pointing out the fact that it's like you have say whether he does or does not have multiple women. That's why I make it simple and easy for me. It's like I make it where it's like, the ladies that I'm with, they're the ones who decide. They decide if I'm in a relationship or not, right? With multiple women. Like, I'm just like most guys, wouldn't have a problem with being with multiple women, but I don't choose if I'm going to be with multiple women, right? They're the ones who choose me, and I just allow the harem to exist, right? So I've been in multiple harems in my life, and I'm currently in one right now. So they're the ones who choose if I get to have them all. So, like I said, I'm in charge of the relationships, yes, but they're in charge of the whole sex thing. So I can be like, all y'all ladies want me. Instead of me choosing one, why not do a harem, right? Why not all y'all get to share me? If y'all all cool with that, then that's how it works. And they usually do, because, well, they want me, so this is one way to get me, is to share. I could, like I said, choose one and then the other ones don't get to have me. So have one winner and a couple of losers. Or we can do a whole win-win where everybody wins. Even I win, right? By having a harem. Plus, there's, logistics to it. Every one of them has different uses and purposes outside of the bedroom, obviously. But like I said, you gotta have permission. You can't just choose one day to have, a harem, basically, right? You definitely can't choose to, like, one day, like, oh, there's this chick at work or on a trip or just at the supermarket. She showed me interest, and I started talking to her. One thing led to another. It's like, no, you need to make sure your girlfriend/wife is aware of your options, right? Is aware that you do have ladies out there that are interested in you in the sexual nature, right? And if she's okay with you adding them to the roster, right? Adding them to the relationship and whatnot, then you're good because you have her permission. But the main thing is, I always promote is get her permission or break up with her. See, because the thing is that you have to understand why women cheat, right? Because we already know, as guys, we already know why y'all cheat is because it was an opportunity. You were horny. It wasn't a lack of love for your wife or girlfriend. You're definitely not trying to leave her and try to get into another relationship. That wasn't the reason it happened. Because that's not the reason it happened, that's why it's stupid that you guys cheat. I recommend that if you want to be with multiple females, get permission, which is the best outcome anyway, right? You want to keep your woman, plus you want these extra chicks, so ask for permission. If you can't get that outcome, but you still want multiple chicks, then you're better off being single. There's no point in getting in a relationship if you still want options. But if you get in a relationship and then suddenly you start getting options, let's say before you didn't have many options, but you got into a relationship and suddenly now you have these options, and then you're like, well, I like the idea of having these options. But you already got into a relationship, then you have to leave it if you want to exercise these options. Right? If you want to take, advantage of the fact that you now have the ability to be with multiple women, so leave the relationship, right? Just, be logical, be a man about it. A child would try to hide it instead of being upfront about it. So whether you're doing this upfront, like this is something you always was going to do, was be in a relationship but still be with other women, or this is just something happens because you start leveling up in life. Now you got more options, you got more women that want you, and you're interested in them. And it's like, okay, well then you're gonna have to make a decision. Ask for your woman to, for permission to add these extra ladies, these options to your life, or going to have to break up with her so you can exercise these options. But the only option you don't have is to cheat, right? To do it behind her back. That's the option you shouldn't try to choose. You should do better. Be better. But like I was saying earlier was about the difference between a guy cheating is more opportunistic. A woman cheating is because feelings, right? It's because she wants to leave the relationship. So she's looking for, a out. And one of the outs is first because you would think, like, why doesn't she just break up with you and then be with another guy? Because she could easily get another guy in most cases. All she has to do is offer sex, and most guys will give her a relationship. Typically, not always, but typically. But the thing is that isn't always guaranteed. Like, she can get guys to have sex with her, but she can't guarantee a guy would, date her or marry her. So she has to guarantee the dating, the relationship or marriage, as an example, but mainly relationship from the next guy. So the guy she wants to leave you for, she has to make sure she guarantees that she's his girlfriend before he does. It's just like before you quit your job, you guarantee you have another one lined up. So you go apply to another job. That's the whole going to the clubs and girl trips. Usually that's them going to, go to job interviews, find another guy to try to start a new relationship with so they can secure a new relationship before they leave this current one. So, like I said, she's trying to make sure that she has another job. So to guarantee it, she has to give a job, if you know what I mean. So that's why women cheat. Because before I used to think about that, it's like, okay, I understand why guys cheat. It's more of an opportunity, because women are the ones who decide if guys have sex or not. This is why you have a lot of guys who are virgins, because guys don't get to choose. If guys get to choose when they have sex, no guy would be a virgin, obviously. So it's up to women who, decide if guys have sex or not, which is why you have a lot of guys who don't have sex. Think about it. We have more women on this planet than we have guys. Let's say, hypothetically, the math is 2 women per guy. So there's 2 women per guy, yet we have about 80% of guys are virgins. Or they have very little sex. They might have 2-3 bodies, maybe 10 bodies at most, right? But on average, the fact that we have twice as many women on this planet than men, yet guys in general, we still have virgins. That shouldn't be a thing when you have so many females, right? You have 2 women per guy, so no guy should be a virgin, at least a virgin, right? Not saying they'd have to have a lot of sex, but at least not be a virgin. But the fact that there still are virgins just means that females, right, are not out here, getting with with guys, with different guys, like getting with a different guy than the main thing is the same group of guys, the same small. Okay, so if I say 80% of guys are virgins, that means 20% are not. That means 20% of guys on this planet are having sex, and they're having sex with pretty much 100% of the women, right? So that right there is a problem when there's a small group of guys having a lot of sex with a lot of females, and think about the percentage of female virgins is very low. Let's say there's 20% female virgins. That means 80% of women are having sex with 20% of the men on the planet. So that's what, about 4, is it? Yeah, 20, maybe, I think it's 4. That's 4 chicks per guy. Right, per something like that, per percentage. It's 80%, 40, not 40. You get the idea. Technically, let's say it's 4 women per guy, percentage-wise. From that situation. So that's the thing. It's there's less guys having sex, more women having sex, but they're having sex with the small amount of guys. So there's not an equal spread of sex, right? Not an equal spread of men and women, male and females getting together in, that are individual. So one guy could be like, oh yeah, I've been with 30 chicks, and these are the 30 chicks. Another dude is like, oh, I know all 30 of those chicks. I've been with them too. You know what I mean? Because all the chicks are choosing the same group of guys. So the 20% of guys are the only ones that's messing with the 80% of females. So that's the thing. So when it comes to to sex, females are the ones, like I said, females are the ones who choose. So if a guy is having sex at all, is because of women. So if a guy cheats, it's also because of women. It's not guys' fault that cheating happens. It's women's fault. I'm gonna say it again. It's women's fault, right? Not women specifically, females. Of course, is what I'm referring to. Ones who are, out here being with multiple guys when they should be like a woman. A woman would actually be with one guy and make that work or be loyal. But for the average female, modern day woman, right? She's gonna be with multiple dudes, so that creates that dynamic. That's why it's funny when they try to act like guys are the most sexually deviant, when one, they're the ones who choose when sex happens, and they're the ones that's having the most amount of sex. So guys aren't sexual deviants. You can't be like guys are out here cheating the most, because mathematically, no, it's women that's cheating the most, because women are the ones having the most amount of sex. They have high body counts. They're the ones, having sex with a lot of the same guys that other women, females are having sex with. So, So if a guy is cheating, it's because he's very popular with the ladies. So if the ladies want cheating to be reduced, right, then they have to be the ones to choose for it to reduce. This is why it goes back to they're the ones who decide if you have a harem or not, if you get to be with multiple women or not, because they already have no problem with one sharing the same dude, right? Because that's what they do. You have 80% of females having sex with 20% of the guys. So, they're only having sex with the best of the best guys, essentially. Let's say 20% of the guys are of the human race are the best, right? They're the tallest, they're the strongest, they're the handsomest, right? They're the fastest, right? They smell good, they got money, blah, whatever, right? Whatever metrics that the ladies use to pick these guys, they're all being picked by 80% of the women at the same time, right? They're all being picked and they're getting sex. So with that being the dynamic in the world, is like it should be surprising if a guy, who one can get a wife, right, can get a girlfriend, whatnot, wanting multiple chicks, and he has the ability. Because it's one thing to want to have sex with multiple chicks, because there's guys out here that want to have sex with just one chick, just one, and they could barely get that. So to be like, guys out here cheating left and right, they can't control themselves, like that's incorrect. Because they're not the ones that get to decide when sex happens, therefore sex is out of their control. Because if guys could control sex, well, yeah, they'll have a lot of sex, a whole bunch of it, right? Because guys are horny every minute of the day, every second of every hour, right? So, if guys get to choose, guys will have body counts of 1 million each, right? But guys don't get to choose. Women do, right? Females get to choose. So they're the ones that get to choose. You can't blame guys for, cheating, right? Like, oh my God, how dare he have sex? You mean, how dare another female have sex with your man is what you meant to say. How dare she have sex with him without your consent? Remember, that's your old dick. Right? So how dare she have sex with your man? You didn't give consent. So among the ladies, they need to tell each other that, well, this is my man. Every chick needs to know this is my man. Because I notice a lot of times females don't even put out that they have a boyfriend or a husband online to let, one, it's not mainly to let guys know that she's not available because she has a man. That's one thing that will happen, but the main thing is to let other females know that, well, yeah, I got a man, and this is who he is. Please leave him alone. You know what I mean? He's my man. Do not come offering him your ratchet booty. And this is how most females think. They think that any other female booty is worse than theirs. It's tainted. It's ratchet, right? That kind of stuff. Because I recently heard that some chick just trying to throw shade at another female, like, oh, how dare if my man cheats, I don't want him no more because I'm not trying to get no STD, blah, 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 blah. I was like, whoa, you're assuming that he's just out here being, with chicks that have, STDs. Like if he's trying to get it, he ain't trying to get no STD. He ain't even trying to get her pregnant. He's not even trying to give her money. Yet you think he's out here, with chicks that have STDs and you're worried about getting it. Think about it. That's what you're worried about. You getting an STD from him having sex with other chicks, not the fact that he's having sex with other chicks. It's the STD aspect to you is a problem, right? So you're being very selfish. But then on top of that, right, is the fact is like, you know better. You're not a saint, because you can easily go outside and just be like, hey, who wants to fuck me? And then and somebody will fuck you. So, so let's not act like you're any better, because he could just as easily get an STD from you than he can get from this random chick, right? But logically, if he's going to agree to have sex with a chick, he should be smart enough to vet her, wear a condom, do whatever he can to make sure that he doesn't get an STD, for example. Obviously he could potentially get her pregnant, so he should try not to, right? Logically. So many things that goes into that, right, that you have to take into account. But that's why it's so annoying to see ladies online complaining about their guy wanting other females. It's like, but if you make it as part of the relationship, where it's like, you understand this, like, because here's another thing that really gets to me the most is they'll hate the idea of you having sex with another woman, right? But they'll try to reduce how much sex you get from them. It's like, if he was working, right? If he works, and he gets off of work, and he's too busy with you to even cheat, then he can never cheat, right? Like, the only reason he's cheating is because he has the free time to cheat, because you're not giving him no booty. So this other chick is. And instead of being appreciative and be like, all right, yeah, let this other chick handle that for me, because I got things I want to do and I don't want to be, laying on my back all the time whenever he has free time. Like, that kind of stuff. Unless you're okay with it, I mean, that should be the okay scenario. Because think about it, if he's at work, that means you should have free time to do the things you want to do, right? Especially if you took care of everything, household all stuff. That should have already been taken care of, so you should have a whole bunch of free time, right? Because laundry was done with a washing machine, right? The dishes were done with a dishwasher, right? The vacuuming was done with a Roomba, and the list goes on, right? Like, there's so many conveniences we have nowadays that makes the household chores easy. It shouldn't take that no longer than an hour to clean up a whole house and go about your day and do the things you want to do. So you should have free time because you make sure you got the free time. So you should have your time. But when you're with him, when he's not working and whatnot, that's y'all time. And y'all time, of course, requires the sexy time. So you have to make sure you're available for sexy time. If you're not going to provide him the adequate amount of sexy time, the bare minimum, right, which is the least amount. If he needs sex twice a day, then that's the minimum. Twice a day. You're supposed to vet him. Before you even agree to be his wife, right? Before your wife agrees to be your wife, guys, she has to know your sexual needs, right? Your minimum. The minimum amount of sex you expect. And she has to be willing to give you that. If she's not willing to give you that, then she's not worthy of marriage, right? It makes no sense to marry somebody who's going to give you less than what you need, right? Because she wouldn't like it if you gave her less money, right? If you gave her less, if you paid less bills, right? Like, she wouldn't like that. She wouldn't like it if you provided for her less, you protected her less, right? You allowed her to be in danger more often than she should be in danger, right? She would hate that. But for some reason, doesn't hate the idea of reducing the amount of sex she gives you. That's a problem. Because remember, if she's giving you giving you less sex, that means she has less emotions for you, less feelings for you, less love. Because again, love is needed for women to have sex. But it's not needed for a guy to have sex, which is why it's very important that, we keep track of our, women, our wives, girlfriends, emotional state, their mental state. Want to make sure that they're happy. Want to make sure that their love for you is still there. If they were extra simpish, they were extra submissive, whatever, at the beginning of the relationship, but after a couple months they start being less, intimate, less, making things about you, being less happy when she sees you and stuff like that. That's a problem, right? It's the same thing as a job. If you hire somebody and then, the first couple of weeks they're a good employee, but then suddenly they stop being a good employee because they start being lazy, start coming in late to work, they do less work but still expect the same amount of pay, things like that, then, as a boss, you're like, I'm gonna have to fire you because you're not living up to the expectation. The expectation is what you came into the relationship with is what I expect you to keep in the relationship. I have no problem if you don't want to give me more. If you, let's say I had sex with my girl once a day, right? Which is a lot, but, to some people. But it's like once a day. If suddenly it's once every week, or once every month, or once every year, it's like, okay, there's a problem. That's a huge decline. One shouldn't even get that far. Because as soon as, you miss a day, that should be an issue. It's like, oh, you're not having sex with me today? That's a problem. That's not normal, right? But once a day is the bare minimum. Anything less than that is obviously grounds for termination. Because if I agree to pay the bills and to pay for everything, I'm not allowed to do less than that, right? I'm not allowed to suddenly stop paying the Netflix subscription, right? As an example, or pay for the internet, pay for the water, for electricity. Like, obviously, you want me to keep paying for that. You have no problem if I pay for more stuff. If I get more subscription, if I buy another car, if I buy a beach house, right, a yacht, if I get more, you have no problem with that. You have no problem if I do more. You would have a problem if I do less. That same goes for you, because if the reason I'm in a relationship with you and agree to be with you and to provide you protection and provisions, right? It's because you're going to provide me the things I want. The nice body, the access to the body to do the things I want to do with it, right? As much as I want to do, right? As often as I want to do, right? That's your duty as much as me taking care of you is my duty. So I take care of my responsibilities, you have to take care of yours. For a woman to feel that, well, I shouldn't say woman, because a woman always will do what she's supposed to do. It's females that feel like they can do less than the bare minimum. They think they can negotiate. They think they can, change their mind. Like, nah, I don't want to have sex no more in this relationship. Like, well, then you don't want to be in a relationship anymore. That's what that sounds like. That's literally what that is. That there is no, you get to stay with me and not fuck me. That's not how that works. That's not the agreement, right? Because the reason that I'm with you is because of that. So once you decide you want to take that away, then that means you don't want the relationship anymore. If you want to quit, just say so. So that's why, I make the analogy of the reason why women cheat, right? Instead of just, quitting the job and go get another job, right? They want to secure the new job before they do. So they cheat. So that's the thing. Guys cheat not because they want to, it's only because of circumstances. Which is why you guys need to learn to ask for permission prior, at least get the permission prior. Because with my girlfriends, that's what I do. I have it already preset. I even have a celebrity list, like a list of female celebrities that if I ever got the opportunity to have sex with them, for one night type thing, they already gave me permission beforehand. So I already have permission to have sex with these female celebrities. right? As an example. So there are already women on this planet that I already have permission to have sex with if it ever happens, which is very slim, since they're celebrities, right? So they're probably already in relationships and whatnot, so very slim chance of it happening. But if it happens, I already have permission for it, is what I'm saying. But for the ladies that I do have access to, that I can have sex with, right? Because they're available or they're offering already, or, obviously that's the thing. They already offered sex, so it's like, all right, you offered it, now I gotta ask for permission. Right now I have to run it through my ladies if I could go through with it. So there's that, right? The logistics, handling business, right? If they're against it, they're against it, right? And I have to respect it. I'm not going to veto their, like I said, it's like, gotta ask the ladies for permission. That's just how I roll. But if I don't want to, the whole veto thing, I don't want to veto their decision. If I want to go against the decision, right? If I want to, do what I want to do, then the right thing to do, which is very important to say, the right thing to do would be to relinquish them of their position to be able to say no to my choices, right? And then, well, since I'm no longer in a relationship with them, right? That means I'm single, I'm free, right? To, look elsewhere and do what I want, right? It's only logical. See, because I rather have permission. I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, that's just how I do things. But that's why it's so weird to see a lot of guys out there, who are interested in being with multiple females, but instead of setting up a situation where they can have it, and all of the females involved are okay with it, they want to have a scenario where the females are not okay with it, but want them to be. It's like, no, they have to be down for it, right? They have to consent to you having multiple females, just like they have to consent to you having sex in the first place, right? Consent is important. And since they're in charge of sex, they're the ones you have to talk to about it. Have to have them agree on it, right? And then do you, right? And they'll do you. Anyway, don't want to go on talking for hours or try to talk for hours. Just pointing out the fact that it's like, when you're that guy, literally all you have to do is ask and you shall receive. But if you're not that guy, then you're just not that guy. If you can't get multiple chicks to agree to share you, then, in a relationship capacity, then be single. That's the way you can be with multiple chicks. Another way to arrange this, right, is the thing that really is a problem is that you will date or marry a woman and then still want other chicks, or want to be able to exercise the options that when other chicks, offer you sex, you want to take advantage of it, right? You want to take the offer. Then for all that, get a chick, right, that agrees to basically friends with benefits, right? Get a chick that's down with friends with benefits, right? She's down to do the girlfriend type of stuff, but not actually be in a relationship with you. She'll go places with you when it's like, oh damn, I need a plus one. She'll be down to be your plus one, that kind of stuff, right? You can kind of say like she'll be kind of like a sugar baby or something like somebody who it wouldn't be that hard for you to get them to do girlfriend things for girlfriend purposes, or do wife things for wife purposes, but not actually be your wife, not actually be your girlfriend. So that way, if you do have sex with another woman, it wouldn't be a problem because y'all not really in a relationship. That's what I'm saying. Is like a lot of guys literally will get into a relationship and then try to be somewhere else. Because think about it this way: it's like you apply to get hired in a certain job, and they hire you. Right? Let's say that you get hired to work at Microsoft, but then you want to go to work at Google, on the afternoon or some shit like that, like without letting Apple know that that's what you're doing. Because let's say Apple and Google, they're competitors. They don't like each other. They don't agree with each other, right? They will have a problem with you working at both locations, right? Conflict of interests, they'll say, right? So because of that, you think that makes sense for you to try to have both without their consent? If Google and Apple have no problem you working at both places, then that's one thing. But if they do have an issue, conflict of interest and whatnot, then you can't do it, right? So this whole idea of like, oh, got a girlfriend, but still want to have sex with whoever, comes my way and offers me booty, like, no, then for all that, you're better off, just being in a more of a sugar baby situation, or you could be in a sugar mama situation, however way that works for you, or you can just be a friends with benefit type of situation. The main thing is, don't offer somebody a relationship, which typically is a monogamous relationship, when you don't want to be monogamous, when you don't want to just be with her and you do want other women. Then you're better off being in a harem, or in a friends with benefits situation, or just single. Just be a single bachelor. That's the thing. When it comes to being a guy, that's one benefit as a guy you have that women don't have. They think they do, but they don't. Is you can be single and be with a whole bunch of women. You can just be with a whole bunch of women till the day you die. You don't have to be in a relationship. They do. They benefit more from being in a relationship than you do. As you can see, when you're in a relationship, when it comes to you having sex with multiple women, it's up to them, right? Which is why I'm like, you're better off being single if you want multiple women. Or be with women that have no problem sharing, so, that way you win out. That's all I'm saying.